Hello, I'm Vinzer Flynn, and welcome to the Flinncast. So before we get into the Picard stuff tonight, Juice, I purposely did not look this up so I could ask you, what's the deal with the upcoming show Lower Decks?
Right. So from what I've read, it's basically going to be based on like four ensigns on a random ship in Starfleet, and their how their days go, and hilarity will assumedly ensue.
This kind of sounds like their answer to the Orville.
Sort of, but I don't know. I mean, the Orville is more next generation sort of setup, except there's Seth MacFarlane's comedy mixed in, and then there's Seth's undying homage to Star Trek in general. So this sounds more like Star Trek's answer to Seinfeld.
Oh God, I can't wait for this. Do we know what time period it's set in?
I'm gonna make a guess, as I think it's around TNG. I think.
My mind just went to TNG. I don't know why, but someone on Reddit commented the other day, this is the show that Q should guest star in.
Yeah. So it's going to be animated, and it looks like it's set in the year 20. It is going to be set in the year 2380. So it is TNG. It is TNG era.
This is literally all I know about this show so far, and I'm totally looking forward to it.
Yep. So the main characters, there's one, two, four ensigns, and then I guess the captain will be. Their ship apparently is being described as not very important. As I said, as I mentioned before, it's going to be animated. So this is apparently going to be the first animated series Star Trek has had since Star Trek the Animated Series in 73, 74. So yeah, the support crew serving on one of Starfleet's least important ships in the year 23.
That's a great premise. I am stoked.
So yeah, Seinfeld in space.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I always love like animated stuff because I don't know, it allows you to do stuff you wouldn't with a cast. Like the what ifs for Marvel will be really cool because you'd never get the actors to sign on for that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that what if stuff. Did everyone else see the teaser trailer for the new Marvel shows during the Super Bowl?
I didn't see it during the Super Bowl, but I looked it up afterwards.
Yeah, me too.
I actually did see it during the Super Bowl. It definitely should be interesting.
WandaVision looks so weird.
Yeah, like it looks like Wanda's gone nuts and is like put herself in like a false reality to deal with Vision not being there anymore.
Okay, so I posted in the chat what the four ensigns are supposed to look like in the animation style.
Oh, I like that anime. That looks pretty good.
Interesting. The uniforms are cool. They're not quite TNG, but they're pretty close.
I'd probably say the next step up from what TNG was, I guess.
I think my favorite Star Trek uniforms are the late DS9 ones with the black and then the red around the gray on the shoulders. I think that's my favorite.
So those were the ones they introduced as season 4. It's either season 4 or 5 of DS9, in which they kept till the end, and then Voyager introduced them like in their later seasons. Well, which I'm still trying to figure out how exactly they got those uniforms, since they were stuck in the Delta Quadrant. But
I don't know. Once they had contact with the Alpha Quadrant, right, and exchanging information. So like they could have been like, all right, here's the PNG file for the new uniforms.
Very, very sporadically, but yes, that was like the last 2 seasons.
I think Well, I believe, because I was watching a video about this the other day, once they get access to the Hirogen network and can send messages back and forth to Starfleet, I think they do it, like once a month or something like that is the fastest they can do it. But yeah, I can't imagine a thread count file is going to take up a big chunk of their data stream. I mean, they managed to send the entire EMH Mark 1 back.
Imagine some stickler admiral's like, oh, we found the Voyager, eh? Well, tell them they're out of uniform. They're not up to code.
Send them Starfleet Regulations version 2.000.15 so that we make sure they're following it upon the return.
Okay, in chat is the rest of the crew of the whatever the hell the ship is called. Cerritos.
Oh god, there's a furry.
Yep, and it's the Doctor.
Why do they always
Awesome.
make the Doctor the alien? Well, I suppose not always.
No, not always.
Didn't work out
Actually,
so well with Dr. John Zoidberg.
Oh, yes. The man who will sew your leg to your arm and your arm to your leg.
Now open wide and say... Speaking of the EMH, I saw on Reddit today when I completely forgot about that Voyager's doctor coded himself a penis.
Yeah, that sounds like... I don't remember it either, but it sounds like something the EMH would probably have done.
Yeah, I don't remember that either, but considering he wanted to be normal after he got off Voyager, that wouldn't surprise me.
He did some weird, shady shit. Didn't he once, get into Seven's body and got off sexually or something?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that specific instance, but the joke I was going to make is I could totally see him, adding him a full penis to himself so that he could have lessons with Seven, exploring human sexuality and relationships, or some dumb bullshit like that.
Was Voyager just dirtier than we remember?
Well, I know at one point his ethical subroutine got erased and he essentially tortured a crew member until they put it back. But that's about the worst I've heard of Doug.
God, I really don't remember this show at all.
It's probably because you blocked it out because most of it's bad.
I guess.
Voyager wasn't my favorite series of the group. I mean, it was okay, but not one I vapidly watched from week to week.
So I will freely admit Voyager was my intro to Star Trek. I realize that I'm younger than the two of you, but that was the Trek that was on when I was a kid, right? When I was like 7 or 8 years old in 98-ish, Voyager was on, and all I remember is my mom would not let us back in the house until 5 o'clock every night, and ASN was playing it while Mom would make dinner.
Oh, Cryos, I'm sorry.
He was a kid watching Voyager, Juice. Do you feel old right now, like I do?
Yeah, I can already see my hands starting to wrinkle before my eyes.
Then I watched TNG reruns on Spike TV. And then Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek ever.
All right, you've been redeemed now. Now, I can remember, as I mentioned last week, watching the original series on reruns on CBC back in the 80s and 90s.
I finally went all the way through the original series because I never had when they put the remastered stuff out on Netflix. I went all the way through it finally.
Yeah, I really like the way they did the remastered TOS episodes. They didn't fuck with any of the they fucked with the effects that they should have fucked with, quote unquote. And they did a really damn good job at it. I tend to watch. I don't think I can stand watching the original stuff now after it.
And I mean, I saw some of the originals, when I was younger as well, but I don't really remember them. But having watched through the Netflix, the new tweak stuff, it felt like what you just said, that they didn't screw with what they shouldn't have, and what they did was made it polished up. It felt very organically and naturally done. It felt like they did it right.
They did, and because I mean, a lot of what they wanted to do in the past, they just couldn't do because of the technology of the time. So they did what they could, and to their credit, back then, those special effects were cutting edge, and people oohed and awed over them a whole bunch. But as time went on, they didn't really age terribly well. So when they came out with the remastered stuff, I mean, I was really impressed with it.
All right, let's talk Picard episode 3.
We finally got to see the ship.
Varen mentioned it reminded him a lot of the Normandy.
I could see that, yeah, a little bit.
It does have a little. I agree. Maybe not the Normandy, but it looks like a Mass Effect looking ship to me. Like it looks like a Human Alliance ship.
I was expecting some kind of filthy pirate ship, but it was really clean.
I was expecting something much more Federation-y looking.
Well, considering Picard said that he could pick him out as a Federation officer right off the bat because of the way he kept his ship.
Yeah, so this Rios character, I'm kind of interested in this guy.
He smokes
cigars. I knew
cigars,
you would because he smokes cigars and drinks whiskey.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, when Picard got on the ship, I turned to Rain and said, "Did Picard just recruit a lost Flynn?"
And doesn't seem to care when he has pieces of metal sticking out of him too.
So what's up with his EMH's revolving accents?
So I think what that is, because I did some reading on this, and I think it is a different emergency something hologram, and it's just they use the same image but different voices to differentiate them.
Okay, I was like, what's going to be next? When are we going to get the Spanish and German versions and whatever?
Because we saw him with the EMH, the emergency medical hologram, but I think we also heard him reference it as the emergency navigational hologram. And then I'm curious to see where it goes from there.
Oh,
because the guy does accents hilariously because it's the same guy every time.
I wonder if that means we'll get a Robert Picardo voice cameo or something, or a line like, "I'm a doctor, not a forklift."
There's got to be something like that in there because it seems to crop up in at least every Star Trek series once.
So this is a question definitely aimed at you, Juice. What do you think about the inclusion now in Star Trek of, we covered it kind of last time, including cursing, sunglasses, and vaping?
You know what? When DS9 came out, it broke a lot of traditional what's the word I'm looking for? Premises and assumptions of Star Trek. I mean, it brought in like really big political intrigue. It brought in flawed characters. So the fact that we have a character on Picard that looks like she's addicted to a plant she grows outside her house doesn't really surprise me at all. Sunglasses on a Vulcan kind of irks me though, and the reason why it irks me is because Vulcans are raised on a planet which is essentially a gigantic desert.
Right.
And you would think they would have evolved to a point where, I think they even mentioned that they did. Thank you. Vulcans have inner fucking eyelids. They shouldn't need to have sunglasses. So I don't know why the hell she's wearing a pair of sunglasses unless she has some sort of ocular syndrome or something crazy like that.
It felt very Men in Black to me.
That's probably what they were going with. Continuity wise, it doesn't make much sense, but coolness factor, sure.
So my thing was, I know they have a shared ancestry, but we're pretty sure this is a Romulan parading around.
I think this is actually a Vulcan. Just the way she was talking and such in episode 2 to the lieutenant, who we actually do find out is a Romulan spy. But as I said, sunglasses on a Vulcan doesn't make much sense except for the visual. The swearing, I'm starting to get used to it. Honestly, I've it's gonna happen. We had this discussion last week. I said my piece. Well, as long as it doesn't overtake the show to a point where it just becomes a distraction more than a enhancement, I'll go with it.
And that's just it so far. They seem to be sprinkling it around in the right places so far. It doesn't feel overdone yet.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If Picard starts saying "fuck" every second sentence, then I'm gonna get a little annoyed.
If Picard curses in the show, I will eat my own shoe. Never, never.
I will want video of that.
I would be stunned beyond belief.
I would be too. I mean, everyone else seems to be throwing around curse words like it's a no thing. But Picard's I think is now old enough that I don't think he needs to swear.
I would accept him saying "merde" again, but that's about it.
Yep, I can see him saying "merde." It's French. That's acceptable. I would laugh my I would laugh my ass off if he did something like "tabernac," but Merde would be acceptable.
I just keep thinking about him and Logan. Fuck off, Logan.
So apparently there still is a vibrant resource-based economy going on within the Federation, seeing as Captain Rios does get paid for this, and he is expensive. So I'm assuming gold plus platinum is still the coin of the realm.
Yeah, there's been a lot of complaints about that so far.
It almost feels like it's going backwards in that regard, doesn't it? When Agnes goes up to Rios' ship, she casually mentions, I don't know how much it costs to kind of go do this.
That genie got let out of the bottle in DS9, so not much you can do about that.
So, I saw a funny reference the other day referring to Picard's Romulan companions as his murder parents. And they just kicked even more ass this time around.
I love them pulling pistols out of everywhere. That's like the
so
most
good.
Tal Shiar thing I could think of.
Like Mr. and Mrs. Romulan, they're just casually talking to him. Lights go out, and just like a switch, like snap, they cut the power. Means they're here. Out come the weapons. In burst the Death Squad, and they go straight to.
They were so fast in the reacting. It was 1 millisecond to the other. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was pretty damn impressed that they just, and there wasn't even any the scene where it happened. There wasn't any intro or foreboding. It, like the scene started, a second later the power goes out. They realize what happens, and it just goes straight into.
Yeah, I was expecting not that to happen, and next thing you know, it's full speed ahead.
It's happening, right? So it looks like the acid is basically their version of a cyanide pill.
Right.
One that lets them maybe take somebody else out with them too, which is pretty.
I found it interesting that when they captured one of them and they were interrogating him, she says he's a stubborn northerner like you, kind of giving a first look into different geographical backgrounds for the Romulan people.
Northerners have Irish accents.
Maybe.
There was a lot of really subtle world building in this episode, which I really liked. Like Picard's interview in the first episode, I don't really like tell, not show, I guess, but it was very much they catch the audience up on what the heck has happened in the last 17 in universe years. But I liked the world building in this one.
The flashback where he resigns from Starfleet, and what's her name? Is it Raffi? Where they had that little conversation. That was a cool.
Yeah, Raffi.
That was a cool visual flashback. And man, I did not like those uniforms in that scene.
They look weird. I also don't like her overuse of JL all the time.
Yeah, she does seem to like that, doesn't she?
Well, I mean, shit. Picard called Riker number 1 all the time. So, I mean, why not have another acronym? But honestly, even losing a security clearance, I think something more happened to drive her to start drugging like she was. So
Right.
I think so. I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see more of what happened in their relationship, apart from what we've seen already.
The actor's doing a great job of conveying how pissed off the Raffi character is with Jean-Luc, and it was really weird to me to see someone kind of so mad at Picard.
Well, I suppose it eventually had to happen. He's been in Starfleet long enough. He can't make friends of everybody, as we've discovered.
Yep.
But I like the fact that he, despite the fact she is like totally pissed off at him and doesn't and barely can give him the time of day, he intrigues her enough that the later part of the episode, he just says, "So you working on you working on this thing? No, I'm not. Here's all the information. Carry on," because he
That was
knows she can't
brilliant.
stay away from it.
That was so good. And he just hangs up.
Yep, and she just goes, "Oh, for fuck's sakes, this man knows way too well."
You know what her little cabin in the desert reminds me of, Cryus, is it looked like a prefab Mass Effect house on like Eos or something.
Yep, like any prefab Mass Effect structure ever.
Totally did. So we get a little more. We get another look at the interior of the Borg cube and what's going on there. I don't like this Romulan double agent guy. There's something about him. I find him greasy.
Well, he's trying to get information from her, so he probably is going to feel a little slimy at first.
I like that we got to see Hugh and he pulled rank on somebody.
Yeah, I love the fact we now get to see Hugh, and Hugh has actually done well for himself.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And it certainly looks like he's. It's interesting to see him now as a human, but you could still tell where he's had all his Borg implants removed. Apparently, Borg implants leave scars that do not heal.
To be fair, we haven't seen a lot of other humans. Also, 709 only exists because sex appeal, so meh.
Yes, she was brought in quite specifically to say Voyager's flagging ratings, wasn't she?
I believe so. I'm not sure if anyone will admit it, but that would probably. I suspect that would probably be the case.
No, I have this right from the man's voice himself. Garrett told me way back when he visited Halcon that around the end of season 3 or season 4, whatever season before 7 of 9 appears as a character, they were looking at axing somebody off the show, and it was either going to be Garrett's character or Kess. And Garrett Wong had made like the top 100 sexiest actors list that year or whatever, and that was the reason they decided to get rid of Kess's character over him, and then they brought in 7 of 9 to replace her.
Keep forgetting most of us have gotten drunk with Harry Kim.
It's true. It's a pretty fun experience.
Yes, we have. He is definitely a character.
All right, I failed to take notes this week. What else went on in this episode?
What did everyone think of the Romulan fortune teller type character that seemed to immediately recognize who Soji was and didn't like it at all?
Yeah, I noticed that she seems important somehow, and of course, I'm thinking there's some connection with Data through the Borg Collective or something there. There's a reason she recognizes her on some weird level.
I thought it was weird that she knows her from the future. Oh, Vinzer, I didn't notice you put up Galaxy's Most Wanted #1. Well, I know what I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes doing.
I just finished it tonight. It's only 10 pages, but I wanted to get it out there. I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh, cool. New reading material. Excellent.
Because you guys in our D&D campaign have met 3 of them.
Static and Shimmer are there, right?
Yep.
And Valtorix? Oh, no, the Pyro one. Never mind.
Yeah, she's the one married a grappling hook with a natural 20 in our last session.
Yes.
Yeah, and the blue and the orange one are your Nar Shaddaa contacts.
Home sweet home.
As well as working on the next Outlaws issue, I'm doing another short one for, it's going to be called Origins, and it's going to do backstories of different Flynn characters. I'm starting with the clone daughter.
Cool.
It's going to show how she escapes from Vader.
Excellent. Anything else? Because I'm basically out right now, except it'll be interesting to. So apparently, this episode they're going to be catching up and meeting the Romulan swordsman that's supposed to join their crew.
Yeah, that the trailer for the next episode that really sparked my interest. Is he Romulan, or I thought he might have been Vulcan? But either way, he's like a samurai guy, and he looks super cool.
I think. Let me see. Yes, Romulan.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still cool. I thought the idea of an emotionless Vulcan samurai would be pretty badass, but yeah, I'm down for a Romulan samurai. We're still waiting for our 7 and 9 and Riker cameos. Is Marina Sirtis in this as well as Frakes?
Yes, she's actually going to be on there too. She's actually been seen in the previews that they televised before the series started. So
okay, I wasn't sure. It made
both
sense
she and Jonathan. Yeah, so both she and Jonathan Frakes are I guess are going to be in the same group of scenes or whatever they're whenever they decide to put them in.
I guess the main thing about this episode is it's just more than the other ones. I'm thirsty for more. Like more. Give me more.
Yeah, it is definitely keeping you on the edge of your seat and wanting you to know what happens next.
We've done some good introductions and build up and world building and kind of getting reacquainted with. We're not used to going into the future in Star Trek. We're used to going some retconned other series. But it's like a blank slate ahead, and I'm really dying to know what happens next.
I'm actually there's several things I'm looking forward to see. I want to see if the Borg cube flips back on again and we get a little bit of a horror show with the Borg killing everybody. I want to see exactly if the Federation is gone to shit like Picard thinks it has. I actually want to see more of Picard's murder parents too. I really wish he had taken him with. Really wish they had gone with him because, holy crap, I'm really beginning to like those two.
Yeah, I'm really waiting for the other shoe to drop on that Borg cube. Like to me, it's a time bomb. It's Borg technology. It is the most relentless, unforgiving, invasive shit there is. Like all it needs is an inch, and it's going to turn into another nightmare.
Yep, it'll definitely be interesting to see how that's gonna screw everyone up because it's going to.
They'll be tinkering in some innocent subroutine, like, oh, I got the toilets working. Oh, fuck, virus.
I'm really curious to see why that cube got cut off from the rest of the collective.
So we're given a bit of a hint when they say that Romulan scout vessel was the last ship it assimilated. So I'm wondering if there was some Romulan spy or something on board that so screwed up the consciousness of the Borg ship on there that the Borg just had to cut them off completely.
Somebody had speculated that the reason that the Romulans hate artificial intelligence so much is because they accidentally created the Borg, which is an interesting theory, but I don't think it's very likely.
No, that doesn't. I'm not sure about that. I realize that the Romulans and the Vulcans were very much more technologically advanced way back when, and the Romulans took off from Vulcan and started their own planet. But I can't see the Romulans being that technologically advanced to have created the Borg.
That would sort of go against everything we learned from Voyager too, because Janeway encountered a lot of where they kind of started in the Delta Quadrant, right?
Yeah, I don't really want there to be any big lore drops on the Borg. I like them being, you're right. Voyager set up lots of stuff because the Borg were super heavy in the plot. Sometimes bad guys need a little bit mysterious. You don't need to explain everything about them.
So true. that is one of those things, like, I don't really want to know about the origins of the Borg. They are good and scary enough as they are. It's the same thing with when they got into the origins of the aliens and even the predators. Like, I don't want to know too much about where they came from. It spoils the mystique.
Agreed. You don't need the backstory of every little thing.
No. And I've been saying that for years, like when they started doing Wolverine's origin and more about Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. I'm just like, leave it alone. It's cool the way it is. That's why it's cool.
But I will be definitely downloading the episode before I leave on Thursday and watching it on plane.
Yep, I am, like The Mandalorian, I am still digging the weekly rollout. I am enjoying, I mean, I'm thirsty for more, but I am enjoying the way they are kind of going back to that. It's just, you don't have to put up with really commercials anymore, so it's win-win.
Yep, I agree. And like I said with The Mandalorian, it keeps people talking about it, right? With Netflix, a new season of whatever comes out, you watch it over the weekend, you talk about it on Monday, Tuesday, and then you never talk about it ever again. Now it's like every week we have something to talk about, and we have something to look forward to every week until it's over.
And that is likely exactly what's going to happen with Altered Carbon Season 2 at the end of this month. Like, I love it, so I'm going to probably watch the whole thing in 2 days, but just because it's there. But if they rolled that out weekly, I'd be talking about that every week.
But my thing is, like, I think we finally found the middle ground of, like, you can watch, like, the episodes come out weekly, but you can watch it whenever you want without having to PVR it or record it, and there's no commercials.
I just watched the trailer earlier this evening for Altered Carbon Season 2, and it looks fantastic. I love that cyberpunk stuff.
So I've only seen a picture of it, and it's Anthony Mackie's in it?
Yes, the idea, well, the main character can be anybody because of the show's technology. They switch bodies like sleeves.
Yeah, for sure. Is Anthony Mackie playing the protagonist this season?
Yep, he is playing Takeshi Kovacs.
Sweet. I like me some Anthony Mackie.
I will have to look up the previews then, because I haven't had a chance to watch them.
Well, the trailer reveals that Poe, the hotel AI, is back, so I'm delighted about that.
Nice.
Good, because he was hilarious.
He's so good. Awesome. All right, I guess I'll call it for the evening, boys. Thanks for coming out.
Sounds good. Talk soon.
Ciao.
See you.